Alright, it's time I give you guys my top 10 Power Ranger seasons. And I'm going to split this video up into two parts, much like Disney Brain. Shout out to Disney Brain for agreeing to let me use his template for these two videos. And I'm going to start off with Ninja Storm. Okay, when Ninja Storm came out, this was one of the first seasons I ever watched fully as a child. Ninja Storm takes me back to a good year in my life when days were a lot more simple, and it's sadly the last year that my grandma was living, so I kind of hold Ninja still close to my heart. And I'm kind of nostalgic about it because it just takes me back to that really good time in my life. But the reason I have that number 10 because as a kid, I loved this season, but as I got older and grew into an adult, I started to see some of the problems with this season. One, I did not enjoy the surfer talk dialogue. It really did annoy me in this series, and I understand that this season was trying to be a more comical season, but at times this season would really annoy me with some of the comedy they used. Some of the comedy in this season was just not funny, and I just gotta harp on the villains. These are some of the most lamest, some of the most goofiest, some of the most incompetent villains I've ever had to watch. The only villain that I liked was Sergain. I thought Sergain should have been leader, but Lothar, he was an idiot. Mesogog was right, and I just could not stand anything he did this season, especially the damn talk show episode. Like, you're a villain. Why the hell are you doing a talk? You know what? I'm not even going to get on that. But the point is, the characters in Ninja Storm aren't all that great too, outside of Cam, Tori, and Dustin. I mean, the Thunder Rangers, they had a good start to their arc, but as we go deep into the series, the Thunder Rangers become less and less relevant. The only thing Blake pretty much is Tori's love interest by the end of the series. And Hunter, I mean, he got one episode when he was mentoring that kid, but that's about it. And Sensei, outside of flashbacks, Sensei didn't really get that much to do as a character. I mean, I think Sensei served his role fine, in my opinion, as a mentor. And his relationship with Cam, I thought it was fine. But I sure would have loved if we just got more for Sensei outside of flashbacks and his relationship with his son. But I thought Sensei, fine character. Shane, I don't know what to say. I mean, I like one or two episodes centered around Shane. That's pretty much it. But outside of that, I can't remember anything about Shane. And also, RIP to Paul Magasiva. Yeah, I know some people are starting to turn on the guy because of some of the stuff he did, but I will say that I've heard that Paul was going through a rough time in his life, and he made mistakes, and he tried to pay his debt. So I'm not going to go too hard on the guy. But that's all I have to say about Ninja Storm. I do like the ninja aesthetic for this season, and I do like the episodes we get for Dustin, Tori, and Cam the most out of this series. Those three characters are the only three I really remember. And from this series, my favorite character is Cam. I do love the whole three-parter when he goes back in the past and uncovers his family's past, and he finds out that Lothar is his uncle and that he's been fighting his uncle and his cousins this whole time. I thought it was a fine three-parter. And I also just think Cam's story into becoming a Ranger is a pretty good story too. So, yeah. Overall, I would give Ninja Storm around a 6 or 7. I think Ninja Storm is a decent series. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's above average or average. It's decent. Like, I can get through Ninja Storm somewhat. So, yeah. Next, we're going to go with Lightspeed Rescue. I'm sorry, but I am one of the few Ranger fans that really love that theme song. That theme song always gets a good reaction from me every time I hear it. I can quote it word for word, but I'm not a singer, guys. I'm a rapper, so I'm not even going to try. But Lightspeed Rescue, I actually enjoyed this season. I thought it was a very good season. I really enjoyed the characters, even though I felt like we could have did more with the characters. I actually did enjoy all 5 characters, to be honest. I mean, hold up. I said 5. 6. There's 6, right? Yeah, Ryan. I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. Ryan kind of slipped my mind, but I enjoy all 6 characters, 6 Rangers we get these seasons. Even though I felt like they could have expanded definitely more on the Rangers, they were fine to me. Carter Grayson, one of the most badass Power Rangers in history. He is the type of guy that would jump into a fire to save anybody. He is dope. I definitely do enjoy some of the things that Carter does in the season. Chad, I mean, he got 1 or 2 episodes, but he's pretty quiet. I mean, he doesn't really annoy me. He doesn't really amaze me. I just think Chad is a okay character. And Joe, one of the funniest characters in this whole entire series history. I enjoyed Joe from start to finish. He starts off as a bit of an a-hole, but then he becomes more likable towards the end of the show. So, yeah. Chelsea, I think Chelsea's alright. I mean, that's all I have to say about her. I really do like Dana, but I could definitely see why she wasn't the leader of this team, because you probably would think she would be, but man, Dana, she just doesn't have that leader mentality. I mean, I thought Dana would be the perfect character during the Ryan arc, simply because I thought she would really be the one to blame her father, or to get on to her father, or to question her father's decision. But she doesn't. She's just fine with it. But, alright, okay, Dana's an okay character. I don't really hate her. I mean, I do like her. She's like the caring big sister figure to the team, and she's alright to me. Ryan, man, I wish we could have did more Ryan. Ryan was raised by demons, and yet we don't get to learn about his life before he became the Titanium Ranger. But I will say the arc that we had with Ryan was, it was a good arc, but I don't feel like he really did much after the arc. He is the first American-made Ranger ever, so they didn't really have footage for him. But I gotta say, man, Ryan's, whole entire little story arc was actually pretty good. But the villains of this season, I didn't really like. Queen Banshira, I've never really been a fan of, because 1, she bored the hell out of me, and 2, she can be a real, and I mean a real female dog. I don't want to say the B word, but she's quite the asshole, and not in a cunning or endearing way to win. Like, she's not tricking them or anything. It's not like she's pretending to like them and support them, but in reality, she doesn't. It's like she's just straight up an asshole to them. And I just am not surprised that Diabolical turned on her in the end. Her son was okay. I mean, he did. But I would have really liked if it was Diabolical in their role more, and I really would have loved if they explored more with Diabolical and Ryan, but they did not. But I'm not going to harp on it. Viper has a shitty actress. I'm not even going to start on her. I forget the dude's name that was like the fence to rip off. He was okay in his role of creating the monsters and stuff. And then you had the 2 comic relief villains, and they weren't really funny in the slightest. They were just bumbling idiots. But, okay, I'm not even going to start on them either. But Lightspeed Rescue as a whole, I really kind of enjoyed that season. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I did like Miss Fairweather and Captain Mitchell. Captain Mitchell, the one thing that I didn't like about Captain Mitchell is I always felt like he was kind of leading the Rangers on at times and not really telling them the full story. But I'm not going to really harp too much on that, because I thought he was okay in the mentor role. Not one of those mentors that stick out in this series, but he was okay. And then we get to Miss Fairweather. I actually really like Joel and Miss Fairweather's story. I do like how she started off annoyed by him, and then over the series, he grows on her, and then they end up getting together, and they end up engaged in the Time Force team up. Another season that I will talk about later on, but yeah. I would say that Lightspeed Rescue is a 7.5 for me. I think it's a average. Sometimes it can be an above average series, and it's a good watch. I would recommend anybody to watch Lightspeed Rescue, but I would recommend you watch it more for the Rangers and the heroes than the villains, because the villains were not that great in Lightspeed Rescue, but I could tolerate them more than the villains in Ninja Storm. So yeah, the next series we're going to go to is Dino Charge, and what more can I say about Dino Charge that I haven't already said in my Dino Charge review? It's a really fun series with a lot of different characters from different backgrounds. I enjoy it, even though I feel like some characters got less development than others. I still do pretty much enjoy most of the cast, minus Xeno Wing and Keeper. I just feel like Xeno Wing and Keeper didn't really get as much to do, and there's so much backstory to those two that we don't know and that we still don't know. But hey, besides those two, none of the other characters really bother me. I just feel like some of them could have used more development. But Dino Charge to me is, like Lee Carr said, a very fun ride from start to finish. And the ending of Dino Charge, I still do think is not that great of an ending. It still really bothers me, even though Ninja still kind of fixed it. So, yeah. Dino Charge, if you want to know what I thought of Dino Charge, you guys go check it out in my Dino Charge review on my page that I did 2 years ago. So, yeah. Overall, I think Dino Charge is a fun series that has its little flaws, but ultimately you can get through it all. Because I really did like the villains in Dino Charge, Sledge and his crew, minus Curio, but Sledge and his crew were just really fun to watch. Just watching them come up with different schemes to get their inner gems every week was just a delight. So I would give Dino Charge, honestly, I would give Dino Charge a good 7.8. I would say that Dino Charge is above average to good in my opinion. And oh man, how could I forget about Heckle? I'm sorry guys, Heckle just kind of slipped my mind when I was talking about Dino Charge, but I honestly really enjoyed Heckle's story. Even though I felt like he should have been the Silver Ranger still, I honestly still enjoyed the story anyways, but that's it about Dino Charge. Let's get to the next one. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to me is definitely a series that is iconic because it's the series that got me into this. As everybody knows, Evil with Green got me into this series, and the one thing that keeps me from putting this series in the top 5 is it did not age well, and the characters were not that relatable. If you ask me, they were pretty one-dimensional, and in my opinion, only 3 or 4 characters really get anything done with them in Mighty Morphin, and that is Jason, Tommy, Kimberly, and Billy. Outside of them, that's it. But I mean, the other characters are decent within this show, but they're not any characters that really stick out when anybody's naming their top 5 Rangers or anything. But yeah, Mighty Morphin to me, I do like the transitions in between the series. Rita did not age well as a villain to me. She just really comes off as annoying as I watched the series as an adult. And I did like Lord Said, but that's about it when it comes to Mighty Morphin. It's the first few seasons of this series, and I will say it did eventually carve out the path for what was to come next after it. So that's all I have to say about the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And plus, Y'all know my catchphrase for when I review stuff is it's review time, and it comes from it's Morphin time. But yeah, I would give Mighty Morphin honestly a 7.9. I give it a slight edge on Dino Charge just because of how iconic it was and just the fact that it did start it all. I have to give it that much respect. But yeah. And next, we're going to talk about Lost Galaxy. I have to say, Disney Brain did kind of make me want to go back and rewatch Lost Galaxy because I'm not gonna lie, I do like a lot of the story elements that were in Lost Galaxy with sacrifice and death really pushing the plot, characters, and the story. And I will say, Lost Galaxy is it's a pretty intense season to watch because it's just one of the first seasons to really deal with more adult themes in Power Rangers. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I did really enjoy the cast in Lost Galaxy, and Leo is my favorite character from start to finish. His whole story and everything he goes through that shapes him into the character he becomes in the end, it's just well done to me. Even though I will say I didn't really like how Kendricks just came back out of nowhere towards the end of the series, I will say I really did enjoy Scorpio's daughter way more than I enjoy him. Man, Scorpio has got to be one of the worst main villains in Power Rangers history. That guy was boring. I am so glad that we moved on to his daughter. Thank you very much. But I'm not even gonna lie to you. Every villain outside of Scorpio, I pretty much enjoy in this season. Even the villains that didn't get as much character development play a role in the story somehow in this series. So I got to say, the villains in this series, they're fine. But I just feel like there have been better villains in this series. But yeah. The one thing I will say I honestly didn't like about Lost Galaxy would have to be Scorpio. And honestly, I don't really like how at the end we never really get to explore the Lost Galaxy. This show is called Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, but we don't get to explore the Lost Galaxy. So that always bothered me about this show. But otherwise than that, I really did enjoy the more adult themed stories in this series. I really did enjoy the cast and all the Rangers, and I did like how all of the Rangers played a part in this series, or they had a role in this series to really drive the story. But that's all I have to say about Lost Galaxy. I would give Lost Galaxy a good 8. This is my first 8. In my rankings, they're always going to be a little bit crazy because I don't really like giving something a solid number, because if I have problems with it, I'll say like it's an 8.2 or 8.3, and that's just how I do it. So please don't get on me about my rankings, people. But yeah, I will give Lost Galaxy an 8, as I did enjoy the series, but my gripe with the series is who we start off with as the main villain, and the narrative of the series isn't really explored with the Power Rangers going into a Lost Galaxy. Yeah, guys, that's it. That is the first part of this video, and I really hope you guys enjoy my top 10 video. I plan to have the full video out by next week, which is next year. So we'll see. If I don't get it out next week, I will definitely let everybody know that I postponed it. But these next 5 seasons, I just have way more to talk about them with, and it's just way more thought-provoking for me when I talk about my top 5 series. So it's going to take me more time to construct the video, but you guys keep on supporting me. I'm back on YouTube and back doing videos. I finally got a new mic, so subscribe.